once again, I want to say thanks to everybody that took part in Draft 101 last night with us from our studio there. It's always interesting every year to be a part of these things when you're working with the fan base and all that. The questions were outstanding. The passion that people have for the draft is tremendous, and it makes everything worthwhile. Our guys worked super hard to get these players together, get them graded, have opinions on them. Our draft coverage is second to none. Next week we're going to start this thing on a Thursday night and go all through the entire draft, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's the best coverage in the world.
Yeah, I really do enjoy this. I appreciate that we have the platform that we're able to do to cover this. I mean, the partnership that we have with DallasCowboys.com, it will be an absolute blast for us, not only to cover it, but an absolute blast to have you guys along with us every step of the way. So again, appreciate all that we that have going forward here. Okay, I'm going to take this weekend. Oh, by the way, too, mention Draft 101 real quick. I'm sorry, I need to circle back. It is up on our site now, on our YouTube page, so you can go back. It's a 2-hour deal with the questions and comments, and you could hear it all. We got a lot of voices covering this draft, so you can kind of get it. You can hear the questions and then get an idea of what we think about the particular players
What was your overall scouts grade on the questions? If you just had to, just the quality of the questions from the Tolos in the crowd, what's your
funny.
grade?
You know me, I'm a very much a when you ask a question, or like always, me and Vach do a podcast called "We're Doing All Right."
Do you really?
Yeah. So we do this podcast, but the reason it's titled that is because we're just like
let's get into the nuts and bolts.
Let's get into it. So last night I heard some really cool stories.
Yeah. Oh, setting the table for a question.
Been a fan for 20 years.
Yeah.
Been a fan, I mean, a lot of, you're kind of like.
My favorite part usually.
Yeah, you're just sitting there, and these folks are having the opportunity to, they don't always get to have an interaction with us and stuff.
It's their moment, man.
It's their moment, and so now you're watching it, and I'm just sitting there like, I just want to say, okay, yeah, what's your question?
Yeah. Everybody knows Brian likes long-form discussions at breaks during remotes. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So that's where you get those in.
No, I was just kind of just sitting there, and everybody was, hey, you know what, but we had a lot of folks that came from a long way to have those moments.
Any Eagles fans?
I don't believe so. They were all Cowboys questions. We all had Cowboy questions. It was kind of a fun thing. People I think are really, really curious about what's going to happen at 12, and then how is that going to pair to what's going to happen at 44.
Totally.
That's what people are kind of like, okay, try and pair these things up and give us some hope that hey, if we take a wide receiver, we're going to take a runner. And then, so everybody on the panel had a little bit of a different opinion on how that would all shake out. But I think that's what people are really concerned about, those first 3 picks, because they know they don't have that 4.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people want the trade back stuff. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants the trade back.
Smart fans.
Trade back angle, this. And,
it'd be great to have a pick early in the second.
Yeah. Well,
you just terrified me on this running back thing. Like, if you don't take one at 12, you're going to be looking at third rounders at 44, and then you're going to get the third round and have guys that are just good, not very good.
I just me personally, it's a good group of running backs. I do think there is a difference between Genty and Johnson and Hampton and Henderson. I think there's a difference.
Those are your upper echelon.
Those are my guys. Those are my guys that I think that those guys that, you put them out there, your running game is going to improve remarkably. But in the third round, there's some quality backs. I just want to knock this thing out. I don't want to carry this thing to the 5th and then have this, you could find running backs in the 5th. Well, if I could find running backs in the 5th, I would make those 5th round grades on the top of my board. I wouldn't have them in the 5th round.
I don't want to be spending time developing a running back thinking, well, maybe he could be a good starter next year.
Hey,
forget that.
If you had Rico Dowdle, currently on your team right now,
they messed that up.
Then give me, sure, I'll take a crack at one of these guys that I'll take a crack at an Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State or somebody like that.
Yeah,
but, I don't have – my running game is really an offensive line coach and an offensive coordinator. And the hope of a head coach that wants to try and run the football. Currently, the way this thing is configured, you're not going to run the ball with currently how you got
Dawson,
it.
you were out, but I had a football vision over the week earlier, and I just thought you go get Keenan Allen, you go get Nick Chubb right now, 2 vets that could plug and play tomorrow, wide receiver 2, starting running back, and now you don't feel as desperate at either one of those positions, and you can go BPA, and then if you get to the 3rd round, take your back there. Maybe he's just good, he's not very good. Well, you paired him with Nick Chubb. Yeah. You're fine. And you got 2 premium positions in the 1st and 2nd round.
And I say it again, if you would have signed Rico Dowdle, I don't think it's as pressing of a need as it is right now. And that's just how I feel. Okay, this is coming from ESPN. These are some of the things. I'm going to make a lot of calls this weekend. So next week as we get closer to the draft, I'm going to have my 2 cents on what I'm hearing.
You're going to empty the clip of rumors.
I am going to hopefully have this thing wired for you as best I can, talk to my guys. But this comes from ESPN, and they're asking Matt Miller and Reed and also our guy
Field Yates.
Field Yates, a lot of questions here. And they want to know, they asked the question, true or false, we'll see a team trade up into the top 10. And Miller thinks it's false. He says unless the Steelers get antsy and trade up for a quarterback, it's very difficult for a team to find value in moving up this year. This is kind of something we've been talking about really all year. So the question, I think, is about what team would be trading up to get. And that's always the things you have to ask yourself. On the other hand, Reed says, true. Keep an eye on the Bears at 10. I could see them getting some calls. If the Saints don't take a quarterback at 9, things could get really interesting from that point on. So, yes, teams won't be scrambling to trade up compared to previous years, but there could be a surprise depending on which of the top prospects are still left on the board. So, if you're a Cowboy fan and you're thinking about 12, you need to stand in there and make a pick. Or is somebody going to give you value for your pick? So that's something you need to kind of think about going maybe next week, and maybe we'll get a little bit more of some clarity if teams are going to go up or because it seems like everybody's trying to drop back. Okay, we mentioned Georgia's edge rushers Jalen Walker and Mikael Williams participated in a private workout for scouts on Thursday. Cowboys did send their line coach, defensive line coach, and linebacker coach for them to check that workout. There were about 14 teams in attendance there, and the word was Walker moved around really, really well. This is from an area scout in the NFC said. He did the drills as an off-ball linebacker. That's something I'm very interested in right now. And then he also did some rush stuff too. Walker solidified himself as a top 10 pick. Eric, you talked about that. Williams should go in the top 20. Another team that brought up a trade-back candidate, though, is the Atlanta Falcons at 15. Terry Fontenot has traded back only once in his 4-year tenure, but the team only has 5 picks. So, yeah, look through this draft, find the teams. Minnesota Vikings are another team.
Don't have enough picks.
So you might get some teams around you that are willing to move back right there and go back there. There's some players real quick. My final thing, this is from Field Yates. Here he said, here's some players he's graded outside the first round but have a chance to go in late day 1. He's saying Iowa State wide receiver Jaden Higgins, Ohio State running back Travion Henderson, Texas A&M's edge Nick Scorton, and linebacker Carson Swesinger. Let me focus real quick on Carson Swesinger. I would consider him as a linebacker at 44 over any other position if he was on the board.
Wow.
I would consider him there.
You like him that much?
I like him that much. The ability, his size, the ability to run, the way he plays, he never comes off the field. That's a guy that when you're talking about a linebacker that can make a ton of plays, Carson Swesinger from UCLA, keep an eye on that guy.